Sector rotation is all that matters. Everything else is secondary. And that's because you can have the most perfect setup you have ever seen. But if you're trading inside of a weak, ignored, or getting sold across group or sector, it won't perform. Not the way a great stock should. And you cannot blame the setup because the setup isn't the problem. The response to the setup is. The environment around it simply isn't supporting the move. When the sector is cold, even good setups feel like they're stuck in mud. You find that breakout and it either fails or just goes sideways. You find that pullback and it either breaks down or drift sideways, going nowhere. And that's exactly what happens every time in a cold sector. Nobody cares about it. There's no energy behind the move. There's no volume behind the idea. No fuel to ignite the trade. Institutions aren't building exposure, funds aren't rotating into the group, and relative strength isn't improving across the board. So you see, in this scenario, you are trading a pattern in isolation instead of trading inside of where the money is flowing. But if you were to take that same setup and say placed it into a strong sector, a sector that is moving, attracting money, gaining relative strength, then everything changes. Now that setup actually moves. It attracts buyers. It gets follow through. Not because you did anything differently, but because you aligned yourself with where the fire already is. Strong sectors amplify everything you do right. Weak sectors expose everything you do wrong, even if you're technically right. And I gotta say, the worst thing about trading in a wrong sector is that you can have the most perfect stop loss, a flawless entry, or even pick an absolutely great setup, and it still won't behave the way it should because there's no money rotating into that sector. You can execute perfectly on a great chart, but if the environment around it isn't good, you can be stuck trying to figure out what you're doing wrong for a very long time. By the way, go ahead and drop me a like. We're at 50 subscribers, so maybe go ahead and subscribe as well, especially if you follow buying stocks that move. So as I was saying, sector rotation is not optional. It's the foundation and everything else comes after. So here are some few pointers to take away. Don't start with the pattern. Start with the sector. If the sector is weak, skip it. It doesn't deserve your time. If the sector is strong, we want to identify the strongest stocks within that sector. If the sector is heating up, pay very close attention because when a sector first starts heating up, that's the beginning of the move, and that's the best time to start participating. And if the sector is cooling off, step back and maybe even consider selling if you own stocks within that sector. Also, you do not need to predict rotation. You just need to follow where the strength is and where it's flowing. If you can do that, then everything you are already doing, your entries, your stops, your setups, your stock selection, they all instantly become more effective without changing a single part of your system because now you're simply flowing with the wind or the stream. Sector first, everything else comes after. That's how you stop fighting the market and start flowing with it.